Subculture Talk. I am your host, Pat626. I regularly host Subculture Shock and the After Party on Twitch. But one thing that I also like to do besides play great goth industrial artists is also talk to them. Talk to the artists, the DJs, the promoters, everybody that makes this scene awesome. So tonight in the virtual studio, I have DJ Addam Bombb and DJD42. How's it going, guys?
Hello. Thank you for having us out here.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's a big pleasure. So, you know, before we get into the full interview, this is actually a treat because I got to, of course, be on the show on We Drink and Spin Spooky Things with Addam and with DJ D42 being the ghost host with the most. So it's nice to kind of to trade and be on this side of it now. This does mean I got to think of things to ask you, though.
Well, you know, there's plenty of things to ask about. You know, we're sure doing a lot of stuff.
You are doing a lot of stuff, and before we get into what you're doing, let's talk about where you've been. How I like to start off these interviews is with what I like to call the supervillain origin story. So, you know, there's some illustrious careers in this room here, and the question is how did it all start? You know, why the hell did you all get into to music, into dark music in particular?
Should I begin then?
Whoever you want to fight to the death for who goes first, you're welcome to.
She'll win, man. I'm not messing with Diana. She has better chemicals than the rest of us. A chemical weapon. Okay, so let's see. Like I guess this time, because it's always a different answer every time, I guess this time we'll blame the Muppets.
Okay.
No, yeah, really, just it really does come from growing up with things like, you know, like Alice Cooper on the Muppets and David Bowie on Labyrinth and on TV and that kind of stuff. The rural area that I grew up in was not exactly weird friendly, and so I was definitely you have those moments that you realize much later that become sort of significant signposts, right? And I think back to when I was in like first grade and it was recess, second grade I guess it was, and it was recess, and the little girls clique, you know, the little popular girls clique, they needed somebody to be their like Frankenstein's monster, so they asked me to be their Frankenstein's monster. It was like the only time they ever asked me to play with them, but I was a goddamn great monster.
Oh, I believe it.
And so, you know, so I guess I ended up kind of making a career out of that. You know, I never really had like very normal career aspirations anyway. I made a lot of very bad decisions for myself when I was too young to make decisions for myself to affect my future that profoundly, but I've kind of stuck to them anyway, and I'm still doing it. And so, you know, there I am. But yeah, you know, so my draw to the darkness, you know, comes from being exposed to those little slices through pop culture of a world much bigger than the sort of narrow-minded, oppressive one that I was growing up in, and you know, dreaming of bigger and better places. And you know, it's like back then when I was a kid, you know, because I'm old now. When I was a kid, you know,
what, you're like 21, 22 now?
Yes. So, but when I was very, 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 very little, you know, 20 something years before I was born, it was All About Studio 54, right, was like the big thing, and it was like headlines. You know, it was like for a club that was only open for a few years, it made this huge cultural impact. And I'm definitely one of those kids that was impacted by that, because that was where all the artists were go. Andy Warhol went there, and Grace Jones and David Bowie, and like all the coolest like funk and disco artists. Even Michael Jackson got to go there when he was a little kid. And like and so it was like kind of like this mecca, right, was like the New York City club culture. And then you fast forward a bit, where circumstances beyond my control, my family moved and we ended up in Northeast New Jersey, so not that far from Manhattan, hitchhiking distance anyway, and I did that a lot as a teenager. But I found out that I was a goth because I had taken a summer gig at the New York Renaissance Fair in the Games Glen there. I was very, very young. I was like 14. I think I told them I was 16 and I was 14. And there was a bunch of goth girls with green hair and velvet and all this, and they were like, oh, you're like, you're into like Sisters of Mercy and the Damned, and you have long hair and you're so goth. And so that was kind of, I was like, oh, there's like others out there.
There's a word for that? I'm
yeah,
a what now?
It wasn't just like the kids that played Dungeons and Dragons at the hobby shop, you know what I mean? Which was, pretty diverse group anyway. There's always one, right? But I guess that one was me. I didn't know I was the goth kid in the group, But yeah, I guess, and that's kind of what, I think all of those things kind of layer over into each other. I was an early reader too, and it didn't take long for me to find things like Edgar Allan Poe.
Wait, who's that? Who's Edgar Allan Poe?
Oh, that guy? Some dude from like Maryland or something. I don't know. There's a statue of him in Boston. Yeah, it's a really nice statue, actually. But
so, what about your partner in crime there?
I don't think I have that elaborate of a story. Other than I won't go into too much, but with all the medical mayhem that's been going on since I've been little, and one of the things that saved me was music and digging through music. And when my body just didn't want to do much of anything at all, I could put on my headphones with my Walkman.
Oh yeah.
And so I'd have people send me mixtapes and things like that. And, days, weeks, months in hospital stays, and that helped keep me sane. I don't know how much more that, from where I live, similar to where Addam used to, it was always driving distance to get to the club or the concert or whatever it is. So I'm used to driving 4 and 5 hours for a show and coming right back home. And I'm just trying to find my words here. But like I said, just digging through the music and researching and finding out new and interesting things to listen to just has helped me. And I gravitated towards the dark alternative scene. That's where I ended up. If I felt comfortable anywhere, that's where I felt comfortable. I'm not sure what else to say.
No, that's actually kind of a thing that I notice a lot with the people in the scene, where just this not really feeling comfortable in even those of us that also like pop music and like popular culture, and not just like goth, industrial, darkwave, etc. Even then, most of the people that I talk to didn't feel comfortable in the mainstream. And there wasn't any, like, there often isn't any one thing that clicks. It's just all of a sudden you just walk into a room with other people like dressed like this and listening to this and going, you know what? For the first time, I feel comfortable in my own skin.
I very much vibe with that. And one of the things, so of course you and I have known each other, Pat, for a couple of decades
at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, so one of the reasons that I really enjoyed touring, was that I could always find a place that I could call home, any place that there was a goth scene, if that makes any place that there were
complete total sense.
Yeah, any place that there were weirdos getting together and having a party was kind of just where I wanted to be. And I feel, as you said, having some diversity in your life is a very good thing, pop music being one thing, but there's a lot of different other underground scenes too. And I like to think that I've been able to enjoy something of all of them, just from the sheer love of art and music, and being able to really like enjoy a great diversity of creative possibilities. But I always bring that home with me, in anything that I'm creating or anything that I'm trying to do, like, for my friends, it's like, you have this sort of ambiguous friends thing, right? It's like you have social media and like the audience, the ambiguous who are they audience kind of thing, right? But when it really boils down to it, you got your friends, right? That are the, the goofuses that you go to the diner with after club nights and things. And that's kind of where all the really good stuff is inspired anyway. And it's, like they say that every writer is really just writing to one person, or whatever. And I think that anybody that's creating in the scene, it's like what they really want to do. And this goes for DJing too. How do we get into DJing? Is we find all this cool stuff and we want to share it with our friends. And sometimes that's in the form of like, hey, look at this artist, or hey, check out this song, or whatever. And sometimes it's like, I heard this producer in this other scene do this cool thing, and I thought it fit well in this thing that we're doing, however that is, or like, and the other thing too is like with the dark stuff, it's kind of everywhere, man. Like, there's, darkness is one of those things that it's it's a part of light, it's a part of life too, and it's part of that balance. And so you can find things in popular culture everywhere that have that tinge of darkness in them. Like, it might be the Pixies in the soundtrack, or I don't know, like a character that wears a lot of eyeliner in the mystery show. We all love that one. And that kind of thing. But all of those little things are how I found the scene eventually, right? Is that when I was a kid, that peppering of pop culture reference that permeated everything from Bugs Bunny cartoons to the Muppets to I don't know, everything, the old movies and stuff, the old Hitchcock movies, all that kind of stuff, right? Like
anyone who watched anything with Vincent Price in it,
Yeah, but who would have called Vincent Price goth until there was such a thing as a goth scene?
Exactly.
And we all held him up as an icon, right? And
actually, all right, that brings up we had a question in chat. What brand mustache wax do you use?
Oh, Club Man. It's called Club Man.
Yeah.
It's because I used to be a club kid and now I'm a club man.
There we go.
but yeah, it's great stuff. It's
You did the twirl, so I had to ask.
I did a fake twirl actually. If I properly twirl it, I'll screw it all up.
Cartoons have lied to me.
Yeah, they really have. Like once you have it set, it's like you know, when you get your hair all right, you know, and you're in the glam band, you sleep in the van with your. Oh, this is nobody else has that problem. Do that? I used to play in a glam band, and once you had your hair all perfect, you would sleep sitting up in the bed. Right? So you really like learn how to sleep like this. So like, you know, you'd have this van full of fucking decked out velvet pant wearing rock stars, and we're all like and this is I think why so many rock stars die that way, like throwing up into, because they're trying not to fuck up their hair while they're on the airplane or something. They're like, I gotta like get off the airplane and go to a show. So you're like, right.
All right, I've laughed about someone dying. It's an official Subculture
I know,
Talk
it's
now.
horrible,
There
right?
we go. We're good.
Plus 15 goth points.
All right. Woo! I was running a little low there, so
So now that we're completely babbling about nothing.
No, I going back to kind of what you were saying before about like DJing and kind of just how, well, when you make music, you make it for yourself and for your friends, and when you make when you DJ, it's because you wanted to show people stuff. That actually brings up this fantastic project that you and Diana just kind of unleashed upon the world, and the big reason I wanted to interview you guys is you took something that we were all just starting to use Twitch for DJing and not just video game streams. How the hell did you get from that to, hey, let's make eMpTyVeeTV. Let's do a 24-hour goth music video channel.
Can I tell the story, Diana, or
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Coffee and delirium.
Yeah, those are the primary fuels, that's for sure.
Go ahead.
Okay, so yes, we started off doing the Saturday night. So of course everybody has this the pandemic story, like boom, pandemic, right? The entire industry vanished overnight. What the fuck are we gonna do? Right? We
see, the irony of that is I was already DJing once to twice a week anyway. It just wasn't on Twitch.
That's the thing is, like, we kind of utilized Mixcloud and that kind of stuff to some degree, but just
man, I was old school. I was doing it on like Chew TV and BandLab and shit like that before Twitch was like, you know what, fine, we won't DMCA you guys. Go ahead and make your music.
For me, it was like I would go on other people's things to do that, because I'm like, that's really fucking neat, but it's a lot to do, But then so Twitch came along. Well, Twitch came along. Twitch was around, and we adapted to it. It was one of those things that I blame Carl mostly from Angel Spit, Zug Von Rock, of course. He was really he was being super innovative right at the cutting edge of all that. So we were doing real life parties, obviously, right? And we canceled the party that we had scheduled that would have fallen it was the weekend that would have been right before the lockdown in Boston. So of course, Boston being the sort of center, the first stop on the COVID tour, our community got hit really hard. The Northeast got hit really hard. Within the first month, I'd lost a half a dozen people I knew, and some friends from in the club scene, just like kind of like, oh my gosh, we stopped doing parties and we're never going to see these people again, really horrible. And so then we Carl was kind of like, hey, do you want to do something? We're like, yeah, we would like to do something. Oh, did we lose the feed there?
Just briefly.
Oh, okay. And so this corner of my eye, all of a sudden the screen went weird. All right. So Zoog invited us to do a show with Angel Spit kind of thing. We're like, okay, well, let's turn it into a thing. And so we started doing the parties online, and we turned it into a regular Saturday night thing because another friend of ours was doing Friday nights. So we were like, oh, okay, well, you guys are doing Fridays, we'll do Saturdays. And rotating, we rotate the three different things to kind of keep ourselves from getting bored with it. So we do the 3-week rotation, we do spooky spins, goth night, and variations thereof. And then we have the retro night, and we have the electro swing night, and so we started doing, well, so the other side to this is that right around the same time, Diana's, which kidney is it? 5th, 6th kidney gave out.
Are you collecting them like Pokemon?
Yeah.
You're talking about kidneys like some people talk about wives.
Yep.
I'm sure you have quite the stories about all of them as well.
It was that my 3rd transplant had failed at that point.
And so, now she's been in dialysis for almost 2 years now, again, 3 times a week. And as you can imagine, dialysis is insanely fucking boring, right? Because like, what do? You're sitting there for 4 hours while this thing like pumps your blood. And so, to kind of try to keep her company a little bit, we started doing reruns of the shows from Saturday night. We're like, okay, well, we're recording them on YouTube or whatever. Anyways, so would have given up on YouTube because of the DMCA stuff, but we were recording the shows, and then we would play them back on the days that she was, well, on a couple of the days that she was in dialysis anyway, to try to, make up some time and, place for people to come hang out. And, if you caught the show and you wanted to see it again, or if you just want to hang out, or if you missed the show, that kind of thing. And now we use the rerun actually as a way to turn eMpTyVeeTV off for a little while so that we can get ready for the new Music O'Clock show that week, because we do that every week. But that's it started off with us doing reruns, and then there was like one day where she's stuck in there, and I was kind of like, oh, I'll just throw up a playlist of like all the stupid little videos that I make for my remixes and stuff, right? And there was just a few of us hanging out. Our friend Red Seth was hanging out with us in the chat, and I made a joke about how this was as empty as TV gets, right? It was empty vision television, eMpTyVeeTV. And now I totally stole that name from what's his name now? Author. It'll come to me in a second, but
you'll remember it like when we're 30 minutes from now answering a different question. You'll just shout it out.
Believe it or not, I managed to pull it up. It's Alan Dean Foster.
There we go.
And in one of his books, he makes a joke about eMpTyVee, right? Like eMpTyVee. And so, so my joke was based on that. I said, oh, it's as empty as television gets. And we started, like I said, it literally started as a joke. And then I did the horrible thing that I have this tendency to do where something kind of starts off as like this joke of like something huge, right? And then I go, but we could do that. I think we could do that.
I feel like that's going to be on your tombstone, but we could do that.
It's how everything, the thing is I have so many stories that start with, I made a joke and then said, but we could do that. And they have turned into some very significant markers in my life, some very significant memories, and some of the best experiences, some of the most collaborative experiences of my life. And this one takes the fucking cake, I'll tell you that, because you know, all right, so you know how it is, man. You're in the scene for a long time, and you know, it's like, you know, musicians that have been around for a long time. You meet some people that are new in the thing, and you're like, you know, you try to, you know, it's like you're always trying to find out what's going on, especially in an underground scene where it's not just force fed to you all the time. And especially when you're doing it a lot. You know, if you're running a weekly event or something, you got to keep it like, yeah, you're going to play you know, everybody has their favorite song and you're going to play their favorite song when they come in. But like, you know, you're also trying to teach them what their new favorite song is going to be. And it's because it's your new favorite song, you know, like I like to dance to it. Therefore, I think you'll like to dance to it too. And so you're always trying to keep things fresh. And I got to say, you know, like it started before the pandemic, but the pandemic itself just kind of forced everybody to be like, I'm bored and create. And so, you know, in our scene, I think especially, we have had an absolute explosion of creativity. And I feel like there is more going on now than at probably any point in Gothic culture, like dark culture history.
I would agree with you on that one.
And it's amazing, and yet it is still the tiniest little audience, and yet so bleeding edge. And so to get back to the whole eMpTyVeeTV thing, how did we get it started? We asked a bunch of our friends if they would do this stupid idea with us, and we kind of picked our roles based on, like, you know, kind of what we're already good at. and Diana and I started working on our first show for the channel, and we started off with about 4.5 hours of show, and it was on 24 hours a day, so you'd see it, you know, 5-6 times a day. Now we're at the point where we're getting pretty close to 48 hours in the rotation
Before you repeat anything.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it really is. Like, who'd have fucking thunk?
So
Right? I mean, like-
on that note, let me put the pause button on that. So Diana, Addam makes the joke about MTV, and then drops but we could do it. How did you respond to that? Did you think he was still kidding, or?
I was like, well, yeah. As far as I can remember, it was, well, I can ask a few of my friends and you can ask a few of your friends. And within 10 days, we had enough for 4 hours. Like,
10
well, now
days.
we have to do this.
10. That's it. 10 days.
Yeah. She's right on about that. That exactly fits with my memory as well. We really just went right from, like, it was a funny joke to we could do it to we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened.
Was that first show recorded live, or did you like record it and splice it together?
No, it was all edited. So this is the thing, man, is like when we first decided to do it, what did we have to do first is design how it was going to operate.
Right.
And we didn't really have anything to look at of somebody who is already doing something like that, right? Which is kind of the point of doing it, was that nobody else was doing it. So I guess we're stuck with it because we had the idea, right? And so, yeah, so it was kind of one of those things where it was like, well, everybody had to do the crash course in OBS because of the pandemic, because how else are we going to do our shows, right? But then, it's how do you go a little deeper with it? How do you get it to, and then the other thing, so, one of the things we haven't really touched on too much in Diana's background, she didn't really talk about both of us have broadcasting educations of varying degrees of effectiveness, right? Like, I went to some crap schools, but we both have some broadcasting education. We both have some background in theater and production stuff anyway, and live music, working with live bands and live production. And so basically what it boiled down to is this is where we landed, is we call her program director and me producer, because she just manages all of the information and communications, and I manage all of the technical design and visual production stuff. So we write the scripts together and we write the jokes together. I don't know, it's kind of a hard thing. It's like, we're just kind of good at the things that we're good at, and we've been able to hobble this thing along with just the two of us from this crazy idea. But so totally agree with what she said about it. It started as a joke and very quickly became a we can do this. We asked around, we put up a couple of posts like, hey, if you're in a band, we want to hear from you. Do you have videos? And so this was the thing. And I apologize because I'm holding the microphone for kind of a long time, Diana, but when we started the channel, we had some very core ethical things that we wanted to maintain and accomplish with the channel. We want to give everything a chance as much as we can, as long as we can call it a music video, which is basically like, this is not a music video, this is a VJ loop, right? It's the same thing for 3.5 minutes with an album cover or something like this. That's not really a music video, but if we can call it a music video, if it has enough changing things going on in it, it doesn't matter if it's like this high level of production or basement tapes level kind of thing. It has just as much of a chance as getting on the channel as anything else, as long as it moves enough and the audio quality is decent. And it's dark alternative, which is a huge concept, right? It's and we're like, if you're weird, we like it, and
Yeah.
That's my friend group right there.
Right. To be perfectly honest with you, there's a few artists in the pop scene that if they didn't have their sort of, I don't know, rich parent connections or whatever it is, whatever it is that got them to break into the pop scene, they'd be like our bands.
If they hadn't already made it, you would help them make it.
Yeah.
But they don't need your help, so you're not worried about helping them.
Right, like your Billie Eilish kind of.
Right.
She's already there, but like her music wouldn't be too far out of what we would call dark alternative to play on our channel. You know what I mean?
I get you.
One of my driving forces. Well, I have always been this is cool, you need to listen to it, and just sharing it. I've lost several albums that way by just blending them.
Woman after my own heart.
But a big part of it was not only just our immediate scene, but the international scene as well. And now that we have this internet connection to the world, we have artists from all over, and I appreciate that, and trying to promote that, we're all one big, one family, if you will.
Yeah.
That's
slightly dysfunctional family, but
yes.
But I really wanted to promote that, and slowly, we get more and more videos from all over the globe, which makes it fun when I try to promote the time zones when our shows are.
Oh no, I feel you, because as soon as I started this interview show, I had a bunch of people reach out to me from like around like Britain and Germany and places like that. But then they were like, wait a minute, that's like 4 a.m. where I am. Like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. This is the only time I can get off work.
This is why pre-recording has been such a boon.
Yeah.
To our whole thing, you know. But you know, okay, so to not drive too far off of the topic, that was one of the big considerations when we first started the channel, right? Is that we wanted it to be very much international, not just, you know, not to be, you know, so Eurocentric, I suppose. We want it to be as diverse as possible in every way possible, which means giving every artist that submits to us a chance. But that was a huge thing right there, is that you know, we didn't want to, like, you know, go and like rip videos off of YouTube because we like them and we're doing like a DJ set. Every single video has been submitted by the artists themselves, by the copyright holders, right? Nice. And that's a huge thing for us. It's a huge thing for us, is like, we want to play the artists who want us to play them. And we want to make it as available as possible to all of the artists in our community to do that. It's a huge part of our ethical core. You know, the amount of some of the bands that have been around for a long time have lots of videos, like a couple of dozen videos, but we only have like 7 of them on the channel. Right. We don't include Artist Spotlight because that's about the artist, but you know, we might only have 7 or 8 of them on the channel because we're only allowing a certain number of videos by any one artist in the rotation until the rotation is bigger. It just happens to be that large now.
Right.
And then that way we have room for everything without it being too weighted in one direction or the other. Of course, this is another thing too, is payola, right? Payola is absolutely forbidden in what we do here. It's for us goths, by us goths, as DJ Mothra would have said. And so the there
that
is no
comes out to Fug Bug. I just realized that. But
actually,
anyway.
Yeah, he had T-shirts made. It's a Boston thing. He was he had a night called Ceremony for many years. DJ Mothra. He's semi-retired. He pops up every once in a while for like a reunion show or something, but great DJ. And yeah, we had T-shirts that said Fug Bug and had like a record player graphic kind of thing, and it was very cool. And but that was what it was, for us goths, by us goths. And I mean, you know, it sticks so hard, you know, like for us goths, by us goths. So the whole thing with our channel is that we were like, you know, it has to be community supported, and we need more support, by the way. We need all the freaking support we can get, although we've got it to the point where it pays for the cable bill itself now, which is
hell great. Yeah.
And well, yeah. But we need jobs. But so we decided to do this instead of get jobs because we're too fucked up to do anything else. You know, I had the surgery. This is the other thing too, right? Is that I had the neck thing happen. So it's like, you know, the pandemic started, like she's in dialysis. All of a sudden I wake up one day with a collapsed disc in my neck. It's degenerative thing. And my arm was paralyzed for a year, and I'm still recovering from that surgery, and it's, you know, many months later. And so yeah, you know, it's like all of a sudden there's, you know, but this thing really has turned into this, you know, we have a schedule that we have to follow every week to get our work done in time. And we're you know, this is the other thing too, is with managing this much content, you know, we're well behind on what we'd like to do with the channel.
I feel that.
And so, you know, we're working on this whole new rotation idea and everything, because right now, admittedly, and at least y'all have been nice enough to give us the benefit of being extraordinarily amateur production. but right now we've just got the weekly shows in stacks.
Right.
You know, we just have it over and over, you know, like, you know, the information from September is out of date now, you know, in some of the shows and that kind of thing. And so we have this huge plan to do this new rotation. It has taken us months just to figure out how to make it operate. Like, we call it the clock.
And you're in completely different like areas too. So you're doing this
Yeah.
all over just like Skype, just discussing how you're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like Google Charts up the wazoo or whatever.
She
Spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Oh, my spreadsheet queen.
She is Diana. So, you know, this is the thing that is Diana's. I mean, forte. It's her world. So I have these crazy ideas that make no sense, and it's just a bunch of like scribbled out crap on a
And
piece
she
of
makes
paper.
it make sense.
And I go like, Diana, can you turn this into a spreadsheet? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. And she does. She translates it all into spreadsheets, and then she explains it to me so that we can make it work. It's amazing, but it is really, you know, she's really quite brilliant at that, and that's why she's the program director and manages all the information, because otherwise this channel would be fucked, man. I mean, it would look great, but there would be no organization to it whatsoever, and nothing would ever get done, and everybody would be like, why don't you ever write me back? Because I am miserable about, and I apologize to all of my friends who are watching now, I never write anybody the fuck back. I am awful about it, and I get overwhelmed with stuff that I need to get done, and I'm trying to create shit besides. And so so Diana has been, you know,
Diana just hyper organizes herself into functionality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I will hyper focus on one of those things and then I'll look up and I'm like, oh, I didn't eat today.
Oh.
Which is how I am when I'm working on the visuals and
Right. Like you said near the beginning, you both chose to work at what you were good at, and it's just thank the gods that you both are good at different and complementary things.
That's exactly how it works out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, one of the things that you know, so you know, we have our channel meetings kind of you know, every week or a couple of times a week or whatever, and one of the things that we are kind of constantly reminding ourselves is that it is just the two of us. We have to make sure to lighten the load as much as we can for each other, and to not overbook ourselves and each other, because if we book something, it is both of us have to work on it. And we're both managing our health issues and juggling what we can for energy and pain management kind of stuff. And so yeah, we have to remind ourselves constantly that we're not actually a network, and that, you know, I mean, when it boils right down to it, you know, the pressure that we put on ourselves to do this channel is the pressure that we put on ourselves to do this channel. You know, we really do. We feel a responsibility to all of the artists who have put their faith and their trust in us to be part of this insane project. You know, every week we have volunteers, guest hosts that are recording and sometimes putting a lot of work into the production of the things that they do, so that our shows can be awesome every week. And so that's what really becomes the driving force behind it. It kind of started as a gag and like, hey, we can do this, and as we go on, it becomes, you know, it's much.
Holy fuck, we're
bigger.
doing this.
Yeah. Well, and to the point where, you know, I think probably Diana and I we probably both wake up every day going like, oh my God, is it worth it? And the thing is then we watch the channel and we go, yeah, it is. It's like, we have no idea if anybody's watching, nobody's ever watching the thing, but yet you have no idea. And the thing is we feel like it makes an impact in our lives and the lives of the people that are involved with the channel. And I think that's just good enough to keep us doing it, like we didn't think this, that, it's been on for like 15 months now.
Yeah. It's been over a year. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't think we ever thought, I mean, we were kind of like, yeah, we'll try it. And if it goes, it goes. But like, it's kind of like, after the first few months or something, I think we were both like, has it run its course? And then it exploded again at us, you know what I mean? And, of course, everything kind of goes in waves where it's like, sometimes we have a little more support. And so the funds are a little better so we can do something. And sometimes, it's like, oh, somebody shared it and or of course when people raid to the channel or something, more people find us, or most importantly, the bands just telling other bands about it, like, hey, do you guys have your video on eMpTyVeeTV yet? Because
you should.
Yeah. And then we get those, that and that's what keeps us going, is like, we've been doing new music o'clock every week since like October or something, November or something like that. It's been about 6 months.
Yeah.
Every week we're doing a show that is literally just videos that are new to our channel.
Damn.
And it's like a half an hour to an hour long every week. Of course, we're also doing the artist spotlights, but that means that they've given us a lot of videos, because that's like 6, 7, 8 videos, maybe live cuts, plus we do the interviews as well, and all the silliness, and it's kind of insane. And again, it's one of those things, it's like the one thing just kind of stacked on top of the other, Pat. We started doing the DJ shows, and we just saw the ability and the need to do something that, it was just why doesn't this exist, right?
And now it does.
Well, okay, so Diana mentioned a little while ago about how it was like 10 days, like it was 10 days.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a lie there, just a tiny white lie there, in that we went 10 days from we decided that we actually had to do it. So we kind of had that few days where we threw it around to our friends, right? But we got such a quick response to it in that first week, maybe a week, that we said, okay, we absolutely have to do this.
And then 10 days later.
Yeah, but we have to do it right the fuck away. We have to do it now before somebody else thinks of it.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it was like, it was one of those things that we kind of planned for a day or two about how we were going to ask people to do it, because we wanted to we wanted just, it was one of those things where, like, it's such a good idea that we have to do it, but it's just such an obvious bloody idea that if we don't do it right away, somebody else will, and we will have missed the opportunity to be the ones who did it. And that sounds horrible to me. And
part of it was me getting over my, like, I don't like asking for help necessarily, but it was like, we just have to do this, so here we go.
Yeah, we're both really bad at asking for help.
Well, here's the good news, is that you're on my show right now, and so I can ask for help for you, because earlier you said that you still need more contributions. You still need people to support the channel. So people watching this right now, whether live on Twitch or watching it later on YouTube, how do they support eMpTyVeeTV?
Patreon.com/eMpTyVeeTV.
eMpTyVeeTV.
All right. So Patreon's the best way to support.
Mm-hmm.
And what do I? I admit I'm not. I'm subscribing to the channel, but I don't have your Patreon. What do I get for being a Patreon member?
Love.
Love.
Love, yeah.
I thought you already loved me, Addam.
We do. You get to be on our Wall of Fame, which
Ooh.
which we play at the end of every new musical clock and artist spotlight that week.
Okay.
And love. What you get is we keep doing this.
Yeah. Well, that's the most
'cause
important thing.
Subscribing on Twitch. I don't think. No, I didn't get a Twitch payment this month from it. Like, we have some subscribers on Twitch, but like, how Twitch is.
Right.
If you don't have like 50 subscribers, they don't even pay you. So
Well, it's like they only pay you when you get $100, and if you don't have
there you go.
50
Yeah.
subscribers, it takes a
You
while
don't
to
get
get that.
$100. Yeah, because it's half of. Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of the long way. And Patreon is definitely more reliable, and we have a number of supporters. And the thing is that $3 or $5 or whatever it is, some people support a little more. It's all about what you can, like, Pat. Okay, so just as a personal thing, as we said, we're both very bad at asking for help. Amanda Palmer is very good at asking for help, and I read her book. She's an old friend from town here, and the thing is when you can support something and you can do that little more, it means that you're making it free for somebody who can't.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
And
sometimes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Diane.
what I was going to say is, and the other great help is just sharing our posts, sharing all of the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, sharing the word, spreading the word.
See, that is absolutely huge to us, because that's stuff that you can do that's not monetary. Like, we need money because we need to live. That's what it really boils down to. It's like, yes, there are expenses that we have to pay for the channel. Bandwidth is one of those, subscriptions for the stock things so that I can make all the stupid little things for the channel. Like, we try to support the artists on Bandcamp and at least buy the single when their videos coming on. We try to support the other channels that are out there as well. And so everything that comes into the channel is quickly, back out of it. What we aren't is paid. One of the things that we were saying before is that we do no advertising. We spend no money on advertising, and we take no money for advertising. Right.
Okay.
We don't want it to be a commercial venture, but it would be nice, like any kind of like not-for-profit, sort of public good kind of job. It's like it's still got to pay the rent at some point. We're doing this. When we started doing this, we had the whole like pandemic unemployment assistance thing going on,
and that doesn't exist anymore.
It hasn't for a while. Thankfully, we were able to get everything equipped and up and running with that. Like, I swear, man, it's one of those things. I'm an artist, man. You give me a tiny bit of money, and what am I going to buy? The thing I need to make more art.
Yeah.
Right. And, we joke about this a lot. My side hustles have side hustles, right? Like, suddenly we're not doing gigs. So I started making jewelry and watches and stuff because I have no gigs. So I started doing the thing that I did before I had gigs, which was make jewelry. And every little thing, it's like, doing the DJ shows sort of carried the eMpTyVeeTV for a little while. Now it's the other way around, because eMpTyVeeTV is paying for the bandwidth, not the DJ shows. It's one of those things, like there's no money there to to work with, but we're still managing to make it work. And that is really mostly just because our side hustles have side hustles, you know.
So you hear that, folks? If you guys contribute to eMpTyVeeTV, that means that maybe one day Addam and Diana will get to sleep.
Well, you know what I've been dealing with is just sheer fatigue with the surgery and all that nonsense. You know, her too with the dialysis. It's what, you know, we joke about, like, we don't sleep, we just pass the fuck out.
That doesn't count. That's
no,
not the same as sleep.
It's not. It's really not. But that's where the delirium comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But we do manage to keep the channel going, and that's, you know, I mean, 15 months, man. It's like, you know, for something that we didn't really, it's like we had no idea.
For something that was a joke, 15 months is amazing.
And now we're thinking what we'd really, I mean, there's always sort of a subtext. It's like, well, if we had money coming in on the channel, what would we do? And what we've been talking about more than anything is book bands.
Yeah.
You know, like we would
do live shows on there and stuff like that.
We would do, well, I mean, I think one of the things that we dream of is doing a music festival, like,
yeah,
you know.
Yes.
I used to run a club night, and we had live bands whenever we could afford it, a few times a year. And you know, Diana has worked in a live music venue for a long time as well, doing ticketing and basically keeping everybody's shit from falling apart there. And you know, so it's one of those things, like, again, it's like we have some experience in that already, you know, and we, you know, like doing music festivals is something I would have done without the channel, but now we have a really good excuse to do it.
So
and you know, but that's something that's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands to do. I mean, like, that's not something we're going to achieve on Patreon by any means, you know what I mean? That's more of a
but it's possible at the same time, and that's the thing that I want to make it clear to anyone watching this. No, it absolutely is, because I would argue that when you first told me that you were doing this 24/7 music channel, I thought you were insane.
We are insane.
You are insane, but you still did it.
Yeah.
Like so, and I think that with just a little bit of support, you did something incredible. So for those of you watching right now, just imagine what these two can do if you support them.
You know, just Pat, one of my all-time favorite artists is Tim Robbins, right? That wrote, you know, like Still Life with a Woodpecker, or which book was it? In one of the books, Jitterbug Perfume, I think it was. I'm wicked paraphrasing here, but basically what he says is, like, you know, what an artist does is imagine something that doesn't exist and brings it into existence. That's what we're doing. You know, that's what all my side hustles are, is like, here's something that doesn't exist, can I make it?
Yep.
And so that's what we did with eMpTyVeeTV. I mean, I think, you know, a music festival is one of the things that we kind of dream of being able to accomplish under this particular umbrella, because it's a strong, I mean, I think it's a strong brand. Like, it's just one of those things, like, yeah, it's a parody. You know, we're lucky if nobody sues us, but you know, like, everything that I make for the thing is just remixing and parody of some sort anyway. Like, we're very, very fortunate that we have so many gracious friends that have let us use pieces of their creative work to do our channel. I mean, I can't stress enough, Zug Von Rock, not only did he get us kind of into the Twitch game, he sort of like threw us in at the deep end and is like, we're gonna do a show together.
Yeah.
But But when we first started this, he was like the first person that was like, yes, fucking do it. I'm all over it. How can I help? And so even our, it was kind of an unofficial slogan at first. It's kind of become an official slogan. This is what you want. That sample comes right out of V is for Voltage. I remixed it for Angel Spit, and so I had the stems, and I was like, it's so, like, I want my eMpTyVeeTV. This is what you want.
Right.
It's like we're like forcing it down your throat. MTV.
Take it.
eMpTyVee or MTV told you wanted it. We're telling you, you're getting it.
Yeah.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having both of you on the show tonight. Thank you very
so
much.
It's been great. We could do this all night. So.
Well, I believe it. So I'm gonna have to have you back definitely at some point. Especially, we'll check back in on the channel, see how it's been going. But for all of you that are watching live, the After Party Mix Show is up next, so stick around. And if you're watching on YouTube, this video is about to end, and now you can go to eMpTyVee.
eMpTyVee.
Yeah, you can go to the Twitch channel and watch it because it's on right now. Go for it. All right. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.